Have you ever wrapped your hands around a warm cup of ginger tea on a cold morning and thought, this is good for me? This is protecting my body. What if I told you that for millions of adults over 60, that same comforting habit may be quietly damaging their stomach and kidneys at the very moment they believe they are doing something healthy? I'm Dr. Mark Ellis, and I need to say this clearly because this is not a small issue, and it's not something you should brush off. As we age, our digestive lining becomes thinner, our kidneys lose filtering power, and the margin for error gets dangerously narrow. A drink that feels harmless, even medicinal, can trigger inflammation, internal bleeding, or kidney stress without pain, without warning, and without obvious symptoms at first. I've seen patients do everything right, follow their medications, eat carefully, stay active, and still end up in the emergency room because of one simple daily habit no one ever warned them about. And the most troubling part is this: the damage doesn't start years later. In some cases, it can begin in days. But this video is not here to scare you. It's here to give you clarity, control, and protection. By the end of this talk, you will understand exactly why ginger affects older bodies differently, who should never use it casually, and how to prepare it safely if you choose to use it at all. One small adjustment made with the right knowledge can mean the difference between aging with strength and independence, or quietly losing both without realizing why. So before you take your next sip, stay with me. What you're about to learn could protect your kidneys, your stomach, and your quality of life far more than you've been told. The most dangerous way ginger harms the body is not when it's used alone, but when it quietly collides with something millions of older adults rely on every single day: their medication. This is where things turn serious because many people believe that if something comes from the kitchen, it cannot interfere with what comes from the pharmacy. That assumption has sent more patients to the emergency room than most people realize. Ginger is not a neutral herb. It is biologically active. It changes blood flow, platelet function, stomach acid production, and kidney filtration. When those effects overlap with prescription drugs, the results can escalate fast. Let me share a real situation I've seen more than once. A man in his early 70s, careful with his health, takes his blood pressure medication and a daily blood thinner exactly as prescribed. On cold mornings, he adds a strong cup of ginger tea, believing it improves circulation and keeps him warm. For the first few days, nothing feels wrong. Then the warning signs appear: burning in the stomach, dizziness, unusual fatigue. Within 2 weeks, he's hospitalized with internal stomach bleeding and a sudden drop in kidney function. Nothing new was added except ginger. This happens because ginger naturally thins the blood. So do medications like aspirin, warfarin, and many heart drugs. When two blood-thinning forces combine, the blood loses its ability to clot properly. In younger adults, the stomach lining may tolerate that stress. In older adults, where the protective mucus layer is thinner and slower to regenerate, even mild irritation can cause bleeding. Once bleeding starts, blood pressure drops and kidney blood flow falls with it. The kidneys are extremely sensitive to changes in circulation. They require a steady, well-pressurized blood supply to filter waste safely. When blood pressure dips, suddenly kidney cells are deprived of oxygen. Studies in nephrology show that even short periods of reduced renal blood flow can trigger acute kidney injury, especially in adults over 60. Recovery is not guaranteed. Ginger also interferes with how the liver processes medications. Certain compounds in ginger slow or speed up liver enzymes responsible for drug breakdown. That means a normal dose of medication may suddenly become too strong or too weak. Blood pressure may drop unexpectedly. Blood sugar can swing. The kidneys are forced to compensate, filtering unstable chemical levels they were never designed to handle. Diuretics make this even more dangerous. These drugs already push the kidneys to excrete more fluid. Add ginger's stimulatory effect on circulation and metabolism, and the kidneys are suddenly running overtime. Think of it like an old engine being forced to rev too high for too long. It may not fail immediately, but damage begins quietly. This is why timing matters. Drinking ginger tea right after taking medication is one of the highest risk patterns I see. The safest rule is simple: if you are on long-term medication for blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, or clot prevention, ginger should never be treated as a casual daily drink. At minimum, it must be separated by several hours. For many people, avoidance is the wiser choice. And here's the hardest truth: most damage doesn't announce itself with pain. There is no alarm bell. Kidney stress builds silently. By the time swelling, fatigue, or abnormal labs appear, significant loss has already occurred. But understanding this interaction gives you power. One small change, choosing when or whether to use ginger, can prevent a chain reaction that no supplement or medication can easily undo. And yet knowing this still isn't enough, because there is another everyday combination hiding on the dinner table that can strain the stomach and kidneys even more severely, and almost no one talks about it. If medication is the first hidden danger, then the second one is even more deceptive because it doesn't come from a pill bottle. It comes from the dinner table, from a meal many people believe is nourishing, gentle, and even traditional duck meat cooked with ginger. This combination is especially common among older adults. Duck is often chosen when someone feels weak, cold, or tired. It's seen as comforting, restorative food. And almost instinctively, people add a generous amount of ginger to remove the smell and warm the stomach. On the surface, it feels logical. In reality, for an aging digestive system and kidneys, this pairing can create a silent internal conflict. Let me describe a pattern I see often. An older adult eats a duck soup heavy with ginger in the evening. That night, digestion feels slow. There's bloating pressure, a sense of heaviness in the abdomen. By morning, the body feels swollen, especially around the eyes or hands. Fatigue lingers longer than usual. Most people blame age, weather, or poor sleep. They rarely suspect the meal itself. Here's what's happening inside the body. Duck meat is relatively high in fat and protein, which already requires strong digestive effort. Ginger, meanwhile, is intensely stimulating. It increases gastric acid, speeds up circulation, and triggers muscle contractions in the gut. In younger bodies, this push and pull can balance out. In older bodies where digestive muscles are weaker and blood vessels less elastic, it often does the opposite. It creates chaos. The stomach and intestines begin to contract irregularly. Food lingers longer, ferments, and produces gas. This raises pressure inside the abdomen. And here's the critical part most people never hear. Increased abdominal pressure directly reduces blood flow to the kidneys. The kidneys sit behind this space, and they depend on steady, unobstructed circulation to filter waste. Clinical physiology shows that even mild, repeated reductions in renal blood flow can damage tiny filtering units called glomeruli. Over time, these units harden and lose flexibility. This doesn't cause pain, it causes gradual loss of function. The kidneys still work, but not as well and not for as long. At the same time, the kidneys are forced to process more waste. Duck meat produces nitrogen byproducts that must be filtered out. So while blood flow to the kidneys is reduced, workload increases. It's like asking a factory to produce more output while cutting its electricity. Something eventually breaks. The solution isn't to fear food, but to understand pairing. Ginger works well with lighter proteins like chicken or fish, where its stimulatory effect aids digestion without overwhelming the system. With duck, however, a milder warming ingredient, such as garlic or chives, supports digestion without triggering excessive internal stress. Many people notice that simply changing this one habit reduces morning swelling, digestive discomfort, and that heavy, sluggish feeling that seems to come out of nowhere. These are early warning signs, not inconveniences. Listening to them matters, but even this awareness still doesn't reveal the full picture, because there is a third danger, quieter and far more irreversible one that doesn't depend on what ginger is paired with, but on the ginger itself. And once this mistake is made, the damage often cannot be undone. If the previous danger came from what ginger is combined with, this final one is far more disturbing because it doesn't depend on any pairing at all. It comes from the ginger itself, specifically ginger, that has begun to spoil, soften, mold, or sprout, and is still used out of habit or thrift. I've met many older adults who grew up learning never to waste food. A slightly soft root, cut it away. A dark spot, trim it off. The rest looks fine, so it goes into the pot. Emotionally, that makes sense. Biologically, it can be disastrous. Here's why. When ginger starts to rot or sprout, it can produce toxic compounds that are stable under heat. Cooking does not neutralize them. These toxins don't stay confined to the visibly damaged area. Ginger is rich in moisture and internal fibers that act like tiny channels, allowing contamination to spread throughout the entire root long before the surface looks alarming. I once saw a patient who couldn't understand why his liver and kidney markers worsened despite eating clean. No new medications, no alcohol. The only change, he'd been boiling ginger tea daily using roots he admitted were a little old but didn't want to throw away. That small decision quietly overloaded organs that no longer had the reserve to defend themselves. From a toxicology standpoint, this matters because the liver and kidneys are the body's final filters. The liver attempts to neutralize toxins first. When compounds are heat stable and chemically aggressive, liver cells are damaged during detoxification. What passes through then reaches the kidneys, where delicate filtering units are exposed repeatedly. Unlike skin or gut lining, kidney cells do not regenerate well. Once lost, they're gone. Research in renal pathology shows that chronic exposure to low-dose toxins accelerates scarring of the glomeruli, the microscopic filters that determine how clean your blood stays. This process is silent. There is no pain, no warning sensation, no immediate symptom. By the time lab values rise, functional loss is already significant. The solution here is not complicated, but it requires discipline. Ginger should be firm, dry, and clean. No softness, no sour smell, no discoloration. If there is any doubt, discard it entirely. Cutting away damaged parts is not safety, it's risk management failure. What feels like saving food may actually be trading short-term thrift for long-term organ damage. This matters more as we age because recovery capacity shrinks. Younger bodies may clear a mistake. Older bodies accumulate the consequences. That's why something as simple as ingredient selection becomes a medical decision, not a culinary one. And yet, even after understanding all three dangers, medication interactions, harmful food pairings, and spoiled ginger, there's still one crucial question left unanswered. Is ginger always a threat, or can it still be used safely to support the body instead of harming it? Because the final answer to that question may determine whether your kidneys are protected or slowly pushed beyond their limit. Before we end, I want you to remember one important thing. If you've been using ginger the wrong way, or combining it with things that silently strain your kidneys, this is not a reason to feel afraid or guilty. It's a chance to regain control. The fact that you're watching this video means you care about your health, and that awareness alone already puts you on a safer path than most people. Your kidneys work quietly every single day, filtering your blood-balancing fluids, protecting your body without asking for attention. They don't complain until they're overwhelmed. And that's why small choices, what you combine, when you drink, what you keep in your kitchen, matter more than expensive treatments later on. Protecting your kidneys doesn't start in a hospital. It starts with understanding. If this information helped you see everyday habits in a new light, I strongly encourage you to save this video. Not for today, but for the day you need to remind yourself, or when someone you love asks for advice. And if you want to keep learning how to protect your kidneys, your stomach, and your long-term health with clear, honest medical guidance, subscribe to this channel. I share practical, evidence-based insights designed to help you age with strength, clarity, and independence. There is hope. Kidney damage is not always sudden, and prevention is often possible when knowledge comes early enough. With the right information and mindful choices, your kidneys can continue to support you for many years to come. Thank you for trusting me with your time today. Take care of your body, take care of your kidneys, and I'll see you in the next video.